I just got back from California. I got my chain out of the pawn shop, and we're going to review this week's new comic books. What's going on, everybody? It's your boy GemMint, fresh from Cali. Got to see Jim Lee again, got to see John Dalmayan again, Tyler Kirkham, a bunch of creators. I had a blast out there at the Ninja Exchange. If you guys weren't able to make it and you are looking for some of those signed books, make sure to check out that Spider-Man booth over on Whatnot. They have streams all day, every day. I'm sure you could pick up something nice in case you missed it. With that being said, 27 comics this week. It was a large week for comic books, and I'm going to start with one that I missed from last week. You might have seen the reel that I put out about this from Boom Studios. It's Mighty Morphin Power Rangers TMNT 3, issue number 3. So this one is by Parrott, Federici, and Angulo. I've actually really been digging this series. I mean, it's kind of a little bit biased because my childhood was straight Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers, but Lord Zed and Shredder have tapped into the morphin grid. They're able to morph. So is Bebop and Rocksteady. So it's just basically this big brouhaha between the two sides. Spoiler alert, this is already last week, but in a prior issue, issue 2, they killed Master Splinter. So now they're going towards the white light zone. They're trying to, I don't know if they're going to resurrect Splinter or what have you. And pretty cool stuff going on with Lord Zed. The art is great throughout this. Here's a little quick look. We end up in Dimension X, so we have the Power Rangers that are defending that sector of the neutrinos. Just a lot of cool stuff. Nice battle between Lord Zed and Leonardo. Fun series. I'm here for it. All right, let's keeping with the indies. Let's go Image Skybound, the final issue of the Universal Monsters Invisible Man. It's issue 4 by James Tynion in the 4th with Danny and Brad Simpson. The thing about this is, this was such a great series. I loved the twists and turns they gave us. We do get the final showdown between our scientists. I don't want to give any more spoilers than that, but it's funny because he really is like a Dennis Reynolds. Like, he's this narcissist who thinks that he's better than everybody else. I love the way he's written. I love the showdown, the invisibleness playing into it. Again, I'm trying to be vague on purpose. The only thing I don't like about this is the way that it ended, which is kind of in a good way, but I just wanted so much more. I want more of this story, and they kind of ended it open-ended, so I don't know if there's any plans to revisit this. This was just a great series, man. I love the depiction of the mad scientist, if you will, the scientist who creates the formula. What a great series. Speaking of great series, we're on to Skinbreaker with issue number 3. Robert Kirkman, David Finch. Let's put this down and look at the big boy Treasury Edition. I'm really digging these. First of all, when you have a legendary legacy artist like David Finch, you want as much page as you can get. And these are like newspaper textured pages. So the cool thing with this story is they kind of threw us for a surprise in the last issue. Kind of a spoiler alert if you're not reading this and you're planning to read it all when it's collected. I think it's like an 8-issue series that's already completed. But they do a time jump. The chieftain that we knew was passing down the torch to the new younger member from the clan, or the whatever you want to call it, the tribe. We're seeing him now in the future forced to do the same thing and pass down the leadership role to who he seems worthy. In this culture, you can be challenged by somebody, kind of like Black Panther-ish. And he's changed the way that the tribe has hunted and has had survived for all of these years, using traps and more non-lethal force. And of course, some of the tribe, they have a problem with that. So pretty interesting. I didn't expect the time jump in the last issue, and I really like where they're going with this, and it's a treat for the eyes with the visuals. Sticking with Image, but over to the digital side of things, I've jumped back into Department of Truth with issue 0. This is issue 34. It's by James Tynion in the 4th as well. Simmons, Bidikar, and Belair, but there is a Scott Snyder backup story in here as well. So Department of Truth, it's the same premise, but the main character is no longer part of the Department of Truth. He's out on his own, and you have a new recruit in the department, and that's kind of what issue 0 brings to the table. Agent Cole has his childhood manifestation monster held captive. He's feeding it, and over back at the department, kind of like the Men in Black, they have like these monsters just kind of walking around, the Star-Spangled Man face thing. It was kind of cool. It wasn't really a self-contained story like a lot of these were. It's following more of a canonical story. I wouldn't say I'm lost, but I kind of find it hard to remember what this actual issue is about. I just know that you have Agent Cole. He's on his own. He's being hunted by the department. There's a big change that they're leading up to towards the end of this. So I'm going to stick it out and try to get caught up with Department of Truth. Then we've got Escape, issue number 4. This is by Rick Remender with Daniel Acuna. It's been a great series so far. This issue continues to be great. Our main character has crash landed, and he's been not held captive. He's been taken in by a father and his child that's kind of sympathetic to the whole war that's going on, and he houses him. And that's pretty much all that goes on here. Kind of hearing the backstory from both characters, from their points of view, kind of telling a story on how war is looked at. You know, it's written by the winners, but it's also like, yeah, each side thinks that they're right, but then there's some on each side who kind of see it for the bigger picture. So this person's sympathetic to our soldier, takes him in, and we learn a little bit more about each other, and then he's got to be out by the morning. So kind of slow as far as the progression of the story, but it was still great stuff. It's heart-wrenching, it's touching, it's a serious tone book with anthropomorphic characters, and it really works. And then from Boom Studios, we have a Berserker one-shot. This is The Bleeding Tide, issue number 1. So this one's by Keanu Reeves with Marjorie Liu, Gary Brown, and D. Kunufi. Great story. I really like the Berserker universe, and all these one-shots do a really good job of telling like these one-off stories throughout the life of Uatu. Is that his name? Or is that the Watcher? Unut is his name. I can't believe I remember that. I don't think they use his name in this issue. But this story is kind of like a pirate high sea stories, and we have this vampire who knows about Unut, and they end up having a team up of sorts. It's a lot more than that. Man, it's bloody, super gruesome, like straight up fatalities going on through here, mixed in with some kind of high seas folklore. Vampires, immortals, superpowers, romance. This one has it all. All right, on to Marvel. We'll start with the digital stuff. We've got Battle World, issue number 3. This one's by Christos Gage, Marcus 2, and R. Rosenberg. It's a little hard to keep up with Battle World and what's going on with Marvel Zombies. They kind of have like similar stories going on. But this Battle World is what if characters from the Marvel Universe across different timelines and multiverses were on a patchwork Battle World planet. And this one's really like a Star Brand story, using the Star Brand to help turn the tides of the battle. Korvac is the main antagonist who's keeping them in this patch world. And it's really like a Hank Pym driven story. So there's some cool stuff with this version of Hank Pym and this version of Janet Dine, kind of telling her not to be sympathetic, not to use that word again, like from the other book, but you know, don't mourn me too much. I'm not the guy that your husband was, and this, that, and the third. Pretty cool battle stuff with the Star Brand, but I don't know, not the best series. It just was kind of okay. Then we're on to Black Cat with issue number 4. This one is by Wilson, Melenkov, and Reber, and I really do dig the art on this one. There's a couple of issues that I read from Marvel this week that I thought I wasn't going to be into, but like it has really good art. This one is one of them. So Black Cat, we know she's been playing hero ever since Peter Parker has been knocked into outer space, and then you have Norman Osborn holding down the reins as Spider-Man. So she's kind of trying to play good guy, pick up the slack where Peter would have normally done so in order for her to operate, in order for criminals to operate. So she gets captured. This is how she breaks out. Nice interaction between her and Tombstone. I think Black Cat is really well written, and then the artist captures like the pouty face and seductive nature of Black Cat. I thought it was a really good issue, man. Strong art, strong dialogue. The story is just kind of okay, but at the end of the day, I really enjoyed the issue. So speaking of Marvel Zombies, we're on issue number 3, and this one is by Parker Sheridan, Balzadua, and Arciniega. So I can't remember what they did in issue 2, but I remember this being like Marvel Zombies, but then they kind of took on Secret Wars. Yeah, that's what they're doing. And now they're also taking on the Infinity Gauntlet. So they're kind of mixing multiple events here, which is why I was getting a little confused with Battle World. But it's cool like to see Doctor Strange. He's a zombie. He's basically dead, but he lives on within the astral plane, and then Silver Surfer crashes through. God is coming. So now we're trying to create an alliance with Thanos to complete the Infinity Gauntlet to fight off the Marvel Zombies invasion, is basically what's going on. It's fun. I like Marvel Zombies more so than the Battle World miniseries going on. The art is good. The brutality is there, just kind of like with Berserker. It's like Berserker and Marvel redoing major Marvel events all in one story. So it's interesting stuff. It has great dialogue as well. It's funny at times, gruesome at others. It's cool. Then we're on to The Mortal Thor, issue number 4. This one is by Al Ewing, right? because I know there's Eve Ewing doing a story. Yeah, this is Al Ewing with Cabal and Iacono. So a totally different shift and pace for this issue. The first 3 issues have been focusing on Thor, him being this character Surgard, not knowing who he is, but still kind of fighting bad guys because that's his instinct. This is all about Asgard. What is going on in Asgard with no king on the throne? And honestly, it didn't work for me. The dialogue was super hard to get through. I thought it was uninteresting. I guess they're trying to get Balder, the son of Thor, to take over the mantle and be the All-Father. I didn't really dig it. I kind of like the more Earth-based stuff they've been doing with Mortal Thor, but it is what it is. Then we have the Undead Iron Fist, issue number 3. This one is by Lou, Galan, and Campbell. This is another one of those issues that has really good artwork. The problem with this one is that I'm just not really hooked on the story. It's the idea that you have these immortal weapons that are possessing regular people. It kind of reads and feels like Demon Slayer-ish. It has like a strong manga influence, I would say, as far as the storytelling. Artwork is really good. It kind of stands out on its own. I was never a huge Iron Fist fan. I liked a couple of runs. I liked Brubaker's run, but I don't know. I just don't really find this story that interesting. Last one until we get into the Age of Revelation stuff. It's Venom, Black, White, and Blood, issue number 4. Another 3-story Black, White, and Red series. What I really liked about this one is that the first 2 stories were different hosts. The last one was Eddie Brock, but it just kind of felt like a short regular thing. So you have Al Ewing on the first story with Kai Zama, Rich Delk and Robert Gill on the second one, and Chris Bachalo on the third one. So the first one, I'm trying to remember his name. I want to say it's Jason Lee. He was the host from like the first issue of the Donny Cates run, and everybody was kind of pissed off, but then he quickly gave the symbiote back to Eddie Brock. Is it Jason Lee? I think it is. But I really like this one. It shows how different he uses the symbiote than Eddie Brock or anybody else for that matter. He's very tactical. He'll be like, symbiote, pump me full of adrenaline, release endorphins, put all of my powers into my right eye so I have better aim for this shot. He seems better at controlling the symbiote than the symbiote is even able to handle. Like, it can't keep up with the requests and demands that he's giving them, but it was an interesting take on it. And he looks really cool when he goes full Venomed out. The second one is a story with Mac Gargan as the Scorpion, trying to get the symbiote back from Eddie Brock, and how they convince all parties that this ain't really what you want, bro, having to do with eating brains and kind of giving him flashbacks of memories that the symbiote suppressed, but now he's got to relive. And then the last one wasn't Eddie Brock's story, but it was really just like this art-driven story called Shiny. And I don't know, I felt like there wasn't like really much story to it. But at the end of the day, I still did like this Black, White, and Blood. I haven't been loving all of them, especially when they go longer than a one-shot, but I've been keeping up the Venom stuff. I'm a Venom fan, and this one was pretty cool. Oh, wait a minute, I was wrong. There's one more. So we have the Daredevil Punisher, The Devil's Trigger, issue number 1 by Jimmy Palmiotti, who also is doing the Marvel Knights Punisher. Jimmy is joined by Bianche and Valenza. So this one was like your typical Daredevil and Punisher team up, if you will. They kind of fight against each other, chaining Daredevil up to a post while Punisher tries to sniper someone out. But it was still a really well done comic. I dug it. I liked the predicament that Punisher puts Daredevil in. Hey, either kill me or I'm going to kill this guy. And what does Daredevil do? Kind of interesting how that plays out. So some great scenes and interactions between the two. It felt very familiar, though. I felt like I've read this before. But Punisher, Daredevil, what more can you ask for? All right, Age of Revelation. So let's start with Cloak or Dagger. We're on issue number 2. This one is by Ireland, Tameta, and Dollhouse. So this was one that I kind of went into like, I don't really love Cloak and Dagger. I thought issue 1 was just okay. And I'm reading issue 2 thinking I wasn't really going to like it, but the art really stood out for me on this one. And yeah, you have Cloak and Dagger. The X-Bomb has made it so that their powers have changed. Only one of them could be on this plane at one time, and while they're in the in-between, you have them with their daughter. So they're protecting their daughter in the in-between, and then each of them are fighting one at a time. So it's kind of, again, like Marvel Rivals. Like, you could only be one character at one time, but you kind of see how they interact with each other telepathically, and then how they fight and everything. And then, of course, there's this big, here's a big kaboom. I tell you, the art was great on this one, man. There is a kind of a twist ending here. What's going to happen? The dynamic of this character may change after this, but you know, we're X years in the future. All this can be rewritten with the defeat of Revelation. So they could really do anything they want. All right, then we have Expatriate, issue number 2 from the Age of Revelation. This one is by Eve Ewing, Mortarino, and Angulo. And this is the title, to me, is my least favorite from the Age of Revelation. It's just a bunch of characters that I've never heard of. I don't know what's going on here. It's Bronze, Miss Marvel, who doesn't look, sound, or act anything like Miss Marvel. I mean, it's 10 years later, but she just seems like a totally different character. Rift Melee on their guerrilla flotilla, making their way upriver to rescue somebody. I don't know. This one is just one I can't even keep the story straight, and I couldn't get into at all. Then we've got Undeadpool, issue number 2, Age of Revelation. This one's by Tim Seeley, Magno, and Guru EFX. I really liked issue 1. I really liked issue 2. This is some of the best narration in comic books right now. It's from Deadpool's point of view. And yeah, he's joking and he's slapsticky and everything, but I just feel like it feels more natural than a lot of stuff that I'm reading. I really dig the art. I like the premise, the way that the X-bomb has affected Wade Wilson. His healing factor is keeping him alive, but when he needs more life force, when he needs more protein, he just kind of goes feral and he's not in control of his body and he kills a bunch of friends and foes or whoever. We have Cable introduced here. He's all messed up from the techno virus X years in the future. Funny issue. Did I give it pick of the week? I think I said it was one of my favorites of last month with issue number 1 when I was on the live with Rock and Robbie. I really liked issue 2 as well. It's one of the standout from the Age of Revelation for me. And I can't remember, was it this one that also tied into Omega Kids, and it tied into one of the other ongoing miniseries going on right now. And I think that's important because it makes you feel rewarded for having read the tie-ins for an event like this. Last one from the Age of Revelation. I have some physical Marvel copies, but this is X-Vengers issue number 2, and it's by, oh, this just says variant edition. Who is this by? Jason Liu, Sergio Davila, and Avery Jimenez. You got Rain Barreto and VC's Joe Sabino. He's doing the lettering. So I didn't think I was going to like this. The goofy 6-armed Hawkeye kind of threw me off. But this one kind of feels more tied into the main story. Revelation is prevalent throughout this issue, and this has members of the New Mutants as part of the X-Vengers. So it's kind of cool to see Danny and Sam Guthrie and these other New Mutants meeting up with, I always called him with Doug Ramsey Revelation, not to be confused with Dave Ramsey, the finance guy, who's kind of a boomer that's stuck in the past. Anyway, they know him before he was Revelation, so they're able to kind of have a talk with him, try to talk some sense into him. The problem is they are being attacked. There's a variant, which is funny. Is that why it says variant edition on the front here? There's a variant of the X gene that's kind of exploding and engulfing characters around them. Revelation steps in, getting his hands dirty, getting Vision a little bit dirty, saving as many people as they can, sacrificing some people in the process. I didn't think I was going to like this, and even when I'm talking about it, I really did dig this one. Age of Revelation, that's everything this week. Let's jump into the Marvel physical. If you're looking to pick up any hardcovers, collected editions, omnibus, or deluxe editions, you got to check out panelboundcomics.com, formerly known as Organic Price Books. They offer these books heavily discounted upon release. You can pre-order. You could assure your books will arrive safely with great packaging and fast shipping. You save $2 off every order by using code GEMMINT at checkout. Make sure to check out Panel Bound Comics. But if you're overseas, if you're in the EU, Comics Bugle is here. They also offer heavy discounted prices. You can pre-order your hardcovers. You don't have to pay for the book until it's ready to ship. They have amazing packaging made from recyclable material. They also offer free shipping with no taxes or import fees. And you can save $5 off your first order by using code GEMMINT at checkout. If you're in the EU, you gotta check out comicsbugle.com. Which is going to bring us to the Jimmy Palmiotti book. We have the Marvel Knights Punisher issue number 2. They've been doing these kind of similar wraparound covers for all of the world to come Marvel Knights stuff. Panosian, how do you say the name? Panosian is the artist on this one. This was a good issue, man. I really like this one a lot. You have this L zombie character, right? They have this Z drug that they're able to spray, which kind of makes people turn into mindless weapons of whoever's in control, which is kind of similar to what happened to Punisher or what's currently happening to him in his main ongoing, which is kind of weird. But they have Punisher captured, and The wife of like this drug mob boss doesn't like how brutal he is and kind of ends up helping Punisher escape. I don't want to give too much. The artwork is great. It was brutal. It's Marvel Knights is in that same realm as A World to Come and all that. It was a good issue. I still find like I like the regular ongoing better, but I like this issue better than I did the first one. All right, and the last one from Marvel, and yo, this was a banger. The Infernal Hulk issue 1. You have this kind of zombie-looking patchwork Hulk. Hulk is possessed by this evil entity, big kinetic energy, although he did have a lot of panels that were kind of a little bit softer like this here. You kind of showing the boots on the ground before Hulk shows up and how they kind of have this pact to keep each other safe, but it's hard to do when you have this evil monster version of Hulk straight up blow through. He's able to transform the earth and bring demons up from above. He's able to kind of zombify the humans that he's literally crushing in his hands. It kind of feels like what Daniel Warren Johnson did with Transformers and Starscream, just kind of squishing the squishies with his bare hands. Hulk's doing that to people here. The artwork is incredible. I just kind of jumped onto this. They just throw you in this world where Hulk has been kind of possessed and like he's able to like terraform the ground underneath him. It was interesting stuff. I wish this run was finished so I could just binge through the whole thing. Now we got to sit around and wait however long for issue 2. All right, on to the DC books, man. We've got Absolute Wonder Woman issue 14. This one is by Thompson, Bagara, and Belair. I did enjoy this issue. If you remember from last issue, you have Wonder Woman fighting this kind of electricity. And the closer she gets to it, the more it kind of taints her mind and turns her evil and wants her to do bad things. So she's trying to figure out how to defeat this being. And you can see it's the second part of a 2-part series. The art was actually really good through here, and I liked how that entity kind of took on a berserker armor form of Wonder Woman. I thought that was pretty cool. Wonder Woman has to see the grandmother of the gods, which is Gaia herself, literally planet Earth, to take down this threat. It was a good 2-part story. I have a soft spot for this. I do love Absolute Wonder Woman. It's not anywhere near Batman or Superman to me, but what's cool is we're starting to see those worlds combine towards the end of this issue. Mentioning Batman, mentioning Superman, and it looks like Absolute Batman is going to make an appearance in issue 15. So you got me for another issue, Wonder Woman. Then we have Immortal Legend Batman. We're on issue number 4. This one is by Kyle Higgins, along with Matt Groom, Erica Duorso, Dan Mora, Igor Monti, and Tamara Bonvillain. This is another series that I have a spot for. I dig this series. It's in the future. You have Batman going to this uninhabited planet. He's chasing down these shadow creatures that have been created, it seems, with the formation of the Immortal Batman. But it's basically kind of like this version in the future of Poison Ivy on this planet, poisoning the planet, poisoning this Bruce Wayne, which it's got to be a descendant of Bruce Wayne, right? Same kind of traumatic thing happened to him with the death of his parents, and he's got trust issues. But it seems like he's willing to ask for some help in this one. It's futuristic. The artwork is really good. I kind of like it. I like Elseworlds Tales. I decided to just pick this one on a whim. It's Arcadia, which is a Batman, Green Arrow, and Question kind of team-up book. This is issue number 1, and this one's written and illustrated by Gabriel Hardman. This is the Bill Sienkiewicz variant cover, which is actually really dope. Serious tone, but I really like it. It kind of felt like a novel in a sense. Not that it was heavy on the dialogue, but just the way that it read. These 3 characters are obviously all crime fighters, and their paths cross when it comes to Queen Industries trying to create this new kind of real estate / technology, floating cities. Bruce Wayne is kind of interested in it because it's a bunch of billionaires trying to get together to do something, and Gotham City was built below sea level, so Bruce Wayne's got an interest in it. I really liked it. It was kind of a lot of espionage. It's a Black Label book. It wasn't like R-rated in the sense that it was gruesome and gory, but it felt mature. I really did like this. I'll pick up issue 2. All right, so DC KO issue 2 is out this week, and there are 3 tie-ins. I did miss the Titans tie-in from last week. That's a story where they're basically trying to evacuate Earth just in case this plan doesn't work. So that's what's going on in Titans. I got to catch up on part 2 of their tie-in to KO. This is Justice League Unlimited issue 13 by Mark Waid, Dan Mora, and Bonvillain. So, of course, the writing is good. The art is amazing. And I love the team. I like these characters. It's kind of like Battle World, what Marvel's doing, but in DC where, okay, let's take Superman Blue, Batman Beyond, Mr. Terrific is leading this team. So this one kind of feels, oh, it's got, what's his name again? Original Green Lantern. I can't think of his name. It'll probably come to me a little bit later. But this one doesn't really feel connected to what's going on with DCKO. They're fighting this, I don't know, demons and like this devil type creature. Alan Scott, that's the name. Yeah, so all these characters, like I said, they're kind of like in this hell dimension fighting these demons. I don't know, I found it a little bit hard to follow. I kind of felt like Justice League Unlimited, you know, they're on issue 13, and I kind of felt like this was an excuse to put them somewhere during the events of DCKO because they don't really seem to get involved at all. I don't see anything what they're doing to help the cause, so this kind of felt like a pointless tie-in for KO. But The Flash didn't feel that way. The Flash 27 is part 2 of the DCKO tie-in, also written by Mark Waid, but it's got Cantwell, Georgiev, and Herms on here. So this one was pretty interesting. Let me see if I could kind of like get my thoughts together. So we're following Bart West, who is the Flash of the 31st century, the same century where the Legion of Superheroes come from. But we know that the King Omega Darkseid has kind of reshaped everything in his image, and he created the League of Darkseid instead of the League of Superheroes. So Impulse, one of these kind of recruits for the League, interrupts Bart throughout the time stream. Barry Allen is not too far behind him to try to save Bart. They end up in this train, which is, again, a future they're trying to change. They still want to save all the people on the train because it impacts their life path, right? Like there's 100 people on the train. Now that Bart has used the time stream to go into this time, he's changing the life path of all these people. Anyway, so that was basically a battle between the Legion of Darkseid and these Flash characters who are trying to go into the time stream to prevent Darkseid from becoming the King Omega in the first place. So that's how it ties in a little bit more with what's going on there with the tournament. They think the tournament's a dumb idea, so as speedsters using the Speed Force, that's what they're trying to do to end the threat of Darkseid. So, good issue. I did enjoy this as a tie-in. And the last tie-in being Superman issue 32 by Joshua Williamson. He's joined by Barros, Ferreira, and Sanchez. Now this one definitely ties in. So we know that Superman went into the battle, right? He agreed to it, and Lois Lane went to the Fortress of Solitude to try to learn more information from the Kryptonian files. So while she's doing that, Superman is fighting. It shows him interacting with Lex Luthor, and then a little bit more backstory on how Lex prevents all of the villains from being trapped in the negative zone or the Phantom Zone, because that's how they took the villains off the board in DCKO. So in this issue, we learn how the villains join the battle at the end of that issue. It's not just the heroes fighting for the King Omega chair. Now it's the heroes and the villains. So great tie-in, beautiful artwork here. I can't wait to continue reading this after DCKO because I was late jumping onto this series. So you see a quick battle between Superman and the Atomic Atom, and then Lex Luthor versus Etrigan the Demon, who also shows up in the main series. Lois Lane is being attacked back at the Fortress of Solitude, so Superboy and Superman come to save the day. But you can see, nice double-page spread, art's good, ties in with KO. I really like what Williamson is doing with this. Great stuff. All right, speaking of which, we have DCKO issue number 2 with these nice acetate covers, and you get the art on the inside with Lobo. So Scott Snyder, Joshua Williamson, Fernandez, Zermancio, and Sanchez. So the kind of idea of this issue was you have 32 champions all fighting in this tournament, but like straight up Smash Brothers style, this round, there's weapons. So there's 16 and one secret weapon that are littered throughout this fighting space here. So they all have to try to get to these weapons. Anybody who doesn't get a weapon is automatically disqualified, which means they get killed. So they're already going to be chopping the combatants down by half within this issue. I dug it. I thought the artwork was great. I thought it was fun. A lot of different characters, all kind of going for these different MacGuffins, if you will. All of these relics, anything from like the Flash ring to the Green Lantern rings, the Crimson Rod, Wonder Woman's lasso. So here are kind of some of the relics. I liked it. I thought it was fun. Story-wise wasn't the strongest, but like dialogue-wise, character interaction, artwork, definitely worth the price of admission. Digging DCKO. But no matter what, and even though it feels cliche, nothing comes close to Absolute Batman, y'all. Absolute Batman issue 14 Don't look at it like it's the issue before Absolute Joker. This is the final showdown between Batman and Bane, and it is insane. So it's Scott Snyder, Dragata, and Martin. What an incredible issue. Let me get to some good panels. So first of all, Abomination. This is the final part here. Batman has been infected with the venom. Bane wants out. He's got honor and legacy. He's not scared, but he's just done. And Batman's supposed to be his replacement. Batman was super confident in being able to take down Bane, and in this issue, we can see why. We see all the tricks up his sleeve. We see what Batman's plans are on how he defeats Bane. Bane pumping himself full of so much venom, he just becomes huge. I don't want to give too much away, but everything Bane-related led up to this point, and it totally paid off. The battle was crazy. It was more than crazy, but it worked, and it was really good, and I dug this, and I cannot wait until issue 15. So, dang, there we go. Was it 27 comics or was it 28? I might have been off by one, but man, what a big week for comics. A lot of stuff to look forward to. What did you guys pick up this week? What stood out to you? Let me know in the comments down below. Again, if you're looking for any signed books from Jim Lee, Tyler Kirkham, David Mack, John Del Mayan, check out that Spider-Man booth over on Whatnot. Big shout out to the whole team over there, man. I had a blast, felt like part of the family. And thank you guys for watching. Stay minty fresh. Peace.